ever just sit around and think to yourself, wouldn't it be cool if Dodge built this or Dodge built that? What about a pickup truck based off of a Dodge Charger with a full SRT driveline? That sounds so ridiculous, it should be done. And it has. Tom Childers has one, and he joins us right now on the Dodge Garage download. You have got to watch this. Is this your first Mopar?
No, this is not my first Mopar. One of my first cars was a 62 Dodge Polara with the push-button transmission.
Yeah.
And then when my wife and I met, I was actually driving a 1970 Dodge Coronet. Later in life, I acquired a 1970 Plymouth Satellite Roadrunner clone.
Yeah.
And that car is the car that I got rid of that I never should have gotten rid of. Yeah. But I did, against my wife's advice. And there were some bad circumstances around it, but I got rid of that car. But I've always had a spot for Mopars. Now that the kids are out, we're able to do what we want to do, and this is what we wanted to do.
Okay, so that's the history lesson, Tom. But what about this new Ute that you've got behind you?
It was a 4-door Charger, and we made a few modifications to it. We took the back doors off. We turned it into a pickup truck. And it's actually a usable truck. We have plenty of bed space in it. And it really is a Super B. It started out life as a 2007 Charger Super B. It's number 831 of 1,000. And we put the Smith Ute conversion kit on it and turned it into the truck.
So I got to ask you, I mean, I've seen these conversions online before. Yours is the first one that I've ever actually seen in person. How many of your friends have looked at you and go, what'd you do that for?
I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of positive reactions to it. The internet has not been real kind at times, but I pay no attention to that and actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
It got featured on 1320 Video, and when it was on there, it received 2,000 reactions. Half of them were positive, half of them were negative. And that was the first time it was really exposed. But honestly, in person, nobody has said bad things about the car.
It looks in person, and just for the sake of argument, you guys, I actually met Tom at my local Cars and Coffee event just a week or so ago. And again, I've seen these conversions online, but I'd never seen one in person. So I went over and took a look at it, and yours, I mean, it's really well done. Okay, you're not going to fool anybody. It's not factory, but holy cow. I mean, the fit and finish is excellent. Can you tell me a little bit about how much of that is the kit, and then how much of it is like the team that actually put it together for you?
Well, the kit is an excellent kit. I've been involved with some other kit cars before with folks that have done some kit car stuff. And as far as kits go, this one's probably one of the better ones out there. It's from Smith Performance. The guy who owns the company, Mark Smith, is the designer. He was actually an engineer that engineered the first Factory 5 Cobra. So he has a long history with kit cars. And he has made this about as easy to do as can be done. I actually wanted a Holden. To get one over here, not only is there all the red tape to go through, and they're actually technically not legal here in the States because of emission controls and crash testing and things like that, they're very expensive to get here. And I couldn't afford one. So I did the next best thing and had something similar built that probably came out better.
When you're actually opening up that truck bed, how much stuff can you actually put in the bed, and how usable is it as a truck? I mean, you can really store some.
The weight limit for carrying cargo is 950 pounds because it's on the car suspension.
Yeah.
The car actually lost 450 pounds of weight when we did the conversion. So it's lighter, which has not been a problem except for starting out on dirt roads in an uphill mode. And it's hard to not spin the tires.
I bet.
So the way this came about, I decided to build one of these. And my thought was I'd do it as cheaply as possible, get an ex-cop car for $3,000, get the kit, which is very reasonable, $3,500, do it myself, and have something to go on the road. And my wife said no. She said, there's a couple of problems with that. She said, you'll never get it done. It'll be a project that'll sit in the garage forever. And also, this is one of the last cars we're going to build because I was getting ready to retire. So she said, build what you want. And I said, well, what I want would be a Super B. Because if I'm going to build one, I'd like to have the fastest thing they had out there and the nicest car available. So in her wisdom, she said, then go find a Super B. So we started looking, and it took me about 6 months to find the car. The car was a South Florida car. It came from Fort Lauderdale. When we first pulled on the lot where the car was, I thought, this is not the car for me, because it was in sad shape body-wise. The car had sat out in the sun in South Florida for 12 years.
Oh,
so it was rusty on the roof. The paint was cracked. The paint was faded, and it was pretty bad. But the salesman came out, we took a look at it, and he opened the door, and I was shocked that the interior was almost perfect. We took it for a test drive, and it drove fantastic. So I said, well, I'm going to cut the body up anyway. We'll just repaint the rest of it and do that. So that's what we wound up doing. So we bought the car, had it shipped up here to North Carolina, because we were down there on vacation. So after we got back, the car got here. I drove it for 2 days just to try the car out. And then I started tearing it apart. There's a shop down the road about a mile from my house, Bagshaw's Hot Rod Fabrication. So I talked to Scott and said, hey, I want to build this car. Okay, he was in. So we built it at his shop. I was probably in the way more than I was helping, but Scott did a fantastic job on the car. And the kit only took 70 hours. That was it.
Wow. I'm shocked by
So
that.
from the first day he started cutting on the car to when I drove it away from his shop, it was less than 3 weeks.
That's crazy. No way. Oh.
And so there's a local shop just up the road, about another 2 miles. And it's Brothers Custom Garage. And they took care of the final bodywork and paint. The car was in such bad shape, the whole front end had to be taken down to bare metal. Roof, doors, hood, fenders, the nose, everything had to go down to bare material and then reprimed, reepoxied, repainted. So it took a while, but it was worth it for the job that they did. Because at Brothers, they brought out all the body lines, which were there in the kit, but they emphasized them and they got them to look like a factory car. And we get that a lot at shows. That's one of the more common things that we hear is, I didn't know Dodge produced one of these. They said, how did I miss this car? And I said, well, they didn't make it. We made it. And they're just amazed. Dodge should build these.
It's great, man. I know. You know, it's funny because I actually wrote a story on DodgeGarage.com a couple of years ago about Dodge pickup trucks. And, you know, of course, we talked about the Rampage, and we talked about do-it-yourself ones. And we talked about, we talked about the Rampage. We talked about, they actually did in Australia. They did a Valiant Ute in Australia.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and they sold it as a Dodge, even though here a Valiant was, you know, as a Plymouth. But they did that, which was very cool. But yeah, to have a modern day version like you've got, man, it's so cool.
It's a blast to drive. You know, the 6.1 Hemi, 425 horsepower, and it is truly that. We had it on a dyno, and it made 383 horsepower on the ground with the back tires, 408 pound-foot of torque. So it goes, and you can carry your golf clubs if you golf. So it's awesome. A lot of fun.
The car, you know, it looks fantastic, and again, it is still under its skin. It's still a Dodge Charger SRT Super B with, like you said, 6.1 Hemi. You still have the Brembos and the Bilstein suspension and all the good go fast parts right from the factory. So it's also dead nuts reliable as the factory car too, right?
Right. And so we've not had an opportunity, because of all the things going on, to race it yet. We fully intend to have it down the drag strip and see what it does, see if we can get any traction with it at the drag strip.
Yeah.
But later in October, we're actually going to take this on an event called Cars and Cones. And it's an event where, kind of like Hot Rod Power Tour, where you drive a couple of 100 miles in the morning, and then in the afternoon, you run autocrosses. And then you go to the hotel, have dinner, sit around the parking lot and talk about cars, and get up the next morning and do it again. And you do this for 5 days.
Dude, that sounds awesome. I'm an old autocross guy. That's how I got started. And it was, 20.
It is so much fun. And we've done the event before.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to doing it again. We were super disappointed this year because we built the car to take it on Hot Rod Power Tour. That's the main thing we wanted to do with the car this year. It's so much fun. The people you meet, the things you get to do, and we want to do it with this car. And this car just draws so much attention that it's just going to be a blast to take out there. I think I told you when we talked, this is not a car for a shy person.
No.
You can't go to a gas station without having 2 or 3 people stop to talk to you. We took it to Bowling Green for the Mo Party, for the Holly Mo Party, a couple of weeks ago. And on the way back, we stopped just this side of Asheville to put gas in the car at 10 o'clock at night, and it took us 45 minutes because of all the people coming to look at the car and talk about the car and ask questions about the car. And I can't stop talking about it. So it takes a while whenever we go anywhere in the car.
Well, it is super impressive, and I'm so glad that you've been able to share it with us today. And Tom, your enthusiasm is, it's just off the charts, man. This is so cool. I'm excited that I get to see you around town occasionally with this thing. And for all the folks that get to see this car in the future, I think they're really going to get a real kick out of it, because it turns heads because it's yellow. It turns heads because it's a Charger that's been turned into a pickup truck. And it's one of those things that makes, well, I built one of those little, they call them a death cart, where you take a car and you cut all the body off it. I had it at the car show that day, right? And it's what my buddy refers to it as the, how do I say this politely? The what the F factor. People turn their heads and they go, what the is that? Right? And you get the same thing, I'm sure.
It is. And we get that all the time. And honestly, our favorite thing now is to get to go to a car show and sit in the chairs behind the car and just watch people walk by and do a double take and smile. and we get a lot of smiles with the car. And that's the most important thing for us.
By the way, if you would like to follow Tom on Instagram, he's easy to find. It's Super B Ute, all one word, Super B Ute. That's UTE. Got it? Good. All right. Guys, thanks for being a part of this latest Dodge Garage download. Can't wait to do it again and share more of the people and the cars that make this hobby so amazing. We'll do it right here at DodgeGarage.com. I'll see you next time. I'm John Hammer.